Hey, it's Sam, and if you're anything like me, you are ready for Palantir earnings on Monday. You've been watching Palantir rip, and you want to have an expectation of how it's going to perform and if there's any other stocks with that same type of potential. I do have two tickers I want you to take a look at for next week. One dropped earnings yesterday. I'll just give you the ticker. It's Reddit. And I will give you another one that's on the up and up. It's TSSI. And then we'll circle back to Palantir. So they report earnings after the bell on Monday. And I'm not going to hold you to the end of the video to see the tickers. So let's jump into TSSI. Now, nobody's talking about this stock. That could change really quickly as they do have earnings next Wednesday. They do AI-enabled infrastructure for enterprise. So basically think GPUs and big data lake, data engineering, all that type of things that aren't directly, you know, power and not directly the models, but sort of the server racks, AI type, the stuff that people with the neck beards that are extremely intelligent and actually do the work make happen. So they do have a deal with Dell to build out AI server racks. The server demand story for ChatGPT, X, Grok, uh, Murati, all these new AI startup, Anthropic, the demand is insane, and now these companies are going to need to actually do the physical integration work, and that's where companies like TSSI come in. They just uplisted from NASDAQ, from over the counter to NASDAQ, so institutions can buy them. That was back in February, March last year. There's a rumor flying around they might actually be working with XAI, which is going to be a massive demand. I think XAI just looked to be valued at $40 billion and they'd raised maybe 10. It's a ton of money flowing into this space, unlike any other space. TSSI didn't confirm or deny that rumor. I'm just saying. They also secured 20 million in new financing, which is a big deal for a sort of smaller company like them. Revenue is around 100 million and they're profitable. So clean books, profitable, in other words, and no real debt. So technically, I'm looking for a base to form. They're one of the few stocks that's sort of holding up right now. Now, granted, they're a small to mid cap stock, so they're not as affected by interest rates or job numbers, but still, you don't want to chase this up because it's a small cap, so it can be more riddled with shorts and small players manipulating it. But if it flags here and does break to the upside, and particularly if earnings are good, of course, that could be a great opportunity over this level 32s. So that's TSSI. Now we'll get into the big players, Reddit, following on the heels of Meta earnings, which were one of the best earnings reactions, even though Meta is pulling back a little bit here. It's still one of the best reactions. Reddit barely pulling back. They actually shorted it here and then it held up. Sort of short-term short, risk a small amount and you're right a lot if it goes up. But given that it's holding up and given that Meta had good earnings, fundamentally, this looks like it could be interesting. Revenue came in at just under 500 million for the quarter, up 80% year over year, just about. Positive earnings per share, 45 cents. And they had a loss last year, so that's a big reversal that Wall Street is obviously noticing. Daily active users are up, and the stock's gapping up on the news, holding the gains, as we can see. To give you percent, it's up about 15% or so. Ad revenue per user is up, which is a big deal because that's the whole name of the game, optimizing ad space. And they're becoming profitable. They've joined Russell 1000 and 3000. Index funds are going to have to buy them. You remember, Tesla had S&P inclusion, Palantir had S&P inclusion. Those can be sell the news events, but they're also opportunities for institutions to buy. So the biggest traffic driver is Google. So that is the risk. You know how you search words and then you say Reddit at the end to get true people, serious answers. Google could mess with that. But for now, the numbers look strong, momentum's there. If we do see a pullback, that could be a buying opportunity. And they do have some moat, given that they have to license their info, obviously, to other AI companies. So the AI companies can't just scrape their pages and basically take all of their value. If it does pull back, it could be a buying opportunity. If it gets over 194, it could be a buying opportunity, or that initial push to after hours highs. This is probably going to happen over the weekend, depending on how the market as a whole performs over the weekend. But watch for continuation on this one for sure. It's the strongest earnings reaction right now. As far as next week goes, Palantir is pulling back right now, but earnings are Monday after the close. Analysts are saying 940 million for revenue, 14 cents earnings per share, which would be a strong quarter, continue the trend. But the story is whether or not, apparently there's a $10 billion enterprise agreement with the Army, 75 new contracts. And it doesn't guarantee that that's going to be all spent, but it shows that they're deeply entrenched in government, as if we didn't already know that by the presidential situation. So that kind of long-term viability is what we want to see. And they've got deals with Space Force, ICE, UK Health Service, Accenture, Voyager Labs. On the commercial side, Piper Sandler price target is overweight, and they're saying 170, which would be a nice little breakout from 160, although we can't really trust price targets, right? And they say 24 billion run rate within the next 7 years. So that's obviously what people have been betting on. It's quote unquote overvalued here, but it's been overvalued for a while. And there was a buy at 95, buy at 45. The stock just kept coming up from those price targets, obviously. If they do beat on Monday, strong guidance could rip higher. We don't have to think about price to earnings or anything too nitty gritty, right? When we're buying momentum. I laugh, but that's the reality of some of these new public companies. 390 times forward earnings right now. But the bull case is momentum, government contracts, AI, surveillance state, defense, national security. And the bear case would be about the 390 times multiple. So I'll be watching support levels, which you see here, 160. And then if it reclaims this sort of level, which is just dipped below, and then looks like I might reclaim 155, could be a good opportunities to risk against. But a clean breakout on earnings would be ideal. Alex Karp, the CEO, is calling it an avalanche of demand. We know he likes cross-country skiing. They can't hire fast enough. But if even half of what he says is true, this could definitely go up to 170 and 200 by the end of the year, if not before. So TSSI for deep value AI infrastructure, Reddit. It's kind of a new company, but definitely will be valuable with all these AI buildouts if they choose TSSI. Reddit for the profitable earnings and breakout tailwind, even as the rest of the market pulls back, and Palantir for the heavyweight price target. And then look for earnings on Monday, and I'll be back here live, 8, 9 a.m. Monday morning, breaking down what happened over the weekend, what happened with SPY, what happened with Bitcoin, and what you can expect for names like these. So I will see you there. You guys are awesome. Leave a comment about a ticker or anything you want me to improve in future videos. And let's keep this thing rolling. All right. Laters.